The advantage of sheep, they come in trickles, onesie twosies. They're not coming to mob drink.
When we first decided to go that route, we also contemplated using, a neighbor has a tile, like a homemade, remember we were talking about Steve's tile and rolling wagon? So we had talked about using that at first before we thought of this sitting in the scrap steel pile. It probably would have worked great. The nice thing about this is you can control the wheel, the spinning.
So we drive down the center lane of the farm, which doesn't get grazed because there's not really much feed there because it's gravel and bare clay because it's high travel route. And my helper will walk beside me and just lay it on the edge of the laneway out of the way of the tires. I take the clamps off and just push the fittings back on when I spool it up, because I find it coils a lot nicer without the big bulky gear clamps on it, and it doesn't cut your hands when you come to that on the line. And the gear clamps got to come off anyway because you're going to be putting your T in, or your coupler. So I take the clamps off when I coil it up. Coyotes will chew on it though. They hear the bubbles, the gurgling through the water line, and they're inquisitive, and they do gnaw on it and make holes in it on me.
Typically, not as much in the summer, but in the winter at the home farm, because it's the water line stays out. Yeah. And because our guard dogs are not all with the sheep, we usually kind of split them up and just put them in other pastures just to keep them all getting along. If there's puppies, or even some of in the winter they're bored, they will drag those lines out and play with them. So in the winter, we'll kind of pull some sections out of whatever pasture those guard dogs are in, but that's usually the only time we have issues is the winter.
Oh no, it happens. We just try to minimize it and not put dogs that aren't working where the water line's disconnected. A herd brand broadcaster that goes in the back of the gator.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll hold a 50-pound bag of grass seed and 15 kilometers an hour, 25, 30-foot spacings. That's what we use. I bush hog trails always before I put up net fences to keep the vegetation down so it's not grounding out the fence.
So then it works fairly well.
Yeah, we don't actually use...
We actually don't. We have a bigger one, but it's not here.
This would run 10 nets max. I like at least 3,000 volts on net fences to my satisfaction to keep everyone where they're supposed to be. More is better, obviously, but 3,000 minimum. We have a large 120 watt panel in a 1800 speed rate, same fencer as that one. It's on a solar cart energizing 2 deep cycle batteries that are energizing the 12 or 15 nets at the other farm.
And that speed rate is a 12 volts?
Yeah.
High G volt?
Yeah, dual purpose.
Interchangeable.
Yeah, they're dual purpose. You can
plug in or 12.
Yeah. We have 2 of them, one here and one over there. One ass broke off from pounding on it. This is the typical ground rods we use for portable fencing. 3 to 4 foot. I always put them in on a 45 so they're not going straight down. And I'll pound them into the ground right up to so I can get the wire, and then a piece of high tensile wire through my clamp. Always 2 rods, 10 or 15 feet apart from each other. I try to pound these in right where the connection is for the water line, for the water bowls, because if it's really dry, I will actually run the water line on my ground stakes for 5 or 10 minutes while I'm setting up. Yeah, this is how I ground out the fencer when I'm mobile.